Hi, I'm Jenny from NollieBean, where modern quilting meets color, creativity, and joy. In this video, I'm sharing part 1 of my Desert Cove quilt project, and I'm walking you through my fabric pull, prepping the fabric, and up through subcutting. So everything you need to get ready to start sewing if you'd like to make your own Desert Cove quilt. So this particular quilt is a gift for a sweet new baby for a coworker of mine, and I wanted to focus the fabric pull on soft pinks and rich purples, which are some of the new mom's favorite colors. And then I did add in a few cozy neutrals. So I always like to start with a color story and then pull fabrics that support that feeling. So in this case, I'm using a mix of solids, prints, and some subtle textures to add dimensions. And I always love using a high contrast value, which helps stand out in the final quilt. So as you watch this quilt come to life, watch that deep purple throughout this process. So once I'm happy with the fabric pull, it's time to prep. And you might notice that I don't always press my fabrics before cutting. Pressing does ensure that you have a nice straight cuts, but honestly, it just comes down to personal preference, and I often skip that step. I also like to stack a few fabrics when I'm cutting, which will help save time. So once everything is cut out, it's time to do the first batch of mixing fabrics for this quilt. So we'll start, and then after mixing and matching, we start strip piecing in sets of 3. So at the sewing machine, I like to sew my strips in batches. You'll see that I sit down and sew several sets together, then I stand up and press the seams of those strips. And I'm pressing the seams open for this quilt. It does help reduce bulk a little bit later on, but honestly, you press and do what works best for you. Some folks prefer to always press towards the darker fabric. And then after I press the first batch, it's time to sit back down and sew the next batch. And I will continue this until all strip sets are sewn together. And sharing a quick note here on how I like to keep myself organized. I have these white plastic bins, and I keep all my fabric and the quilt pattern together in these bins, and it makes it very easy to pick up and stop when I need to, and then just pick up, and when I have 15 minutes here or there, just kind of pick up a project and get what I can done. And so now I'm back at the machine sewing my final set of stripped pieces, and then I will press them. then once all of those strip sets are sewn and pressed, it's time to move on to the next step. So I always double check my pattern to make sure I'm not jumping ahead, because I am prone to just working without looking at the pattern, and I don't want to make a cutting error that I will very much regret later. So once I've double checked my pattern, it's time to cut all those strips into the sub block units. And again, I do like to stack as many as I can, and then still get a clean cut, so that way it saves time. Then once everything is cut, it's time to mix and match again into sets of 4. And so this step right here is really the beauty of the Desert Cove quilt pattern. It looks very complicated, but it's because you're mixing and matching twice. It's actually quite easy. It's a bunch of strip piecing, subcutting, and then making blocks again. So right now I'm making the throw size quilt, and so it needs 20 quilt blocks. So I'm making 20 piles with 4 sub blocks each. And that is it for part 1. In the next video, I'll show you how I piece the blocks and talk you through layout options. And if you're sewing along, let me know in the comments. I would love to see what you're making. Thanks for watching.